Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Aisha Spearman, and I have a resume writing and career coaching business based in San Francisco, California. Today, I'm going to be showing you, or rather describing to you, how to nail your next interview. So, a lot of us have been doing Zoom meetings or video interviews, so I'll try to cover that as well. This particular video is going to talk about in-person interviews, which might be happening more depending on where you're located and what industry you're in. But if you have any questions or comments, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions or have any ideas, or if you'd like to get in touch with me. There should be some contact information in the description of this video. Okay, let's get started. So you might be wondering how to effectively make your case to an interviewer. It's an age-old question, whether it was through the video chat or if it was on the phone or if it's in person. So today I'll be covering how you can follow these essential interviewing tips in order to boost your chances of landing the job you ultimately desire. Even the smartest and most qualified applicants out there need to prepare for their job interview. And the reason for that is a lot of times we make assumptions, especially if you've been in an industry for a long period of time or you haven't done an interview in also quite a substantial period of time. A lot of clients that I've talked to say they've been out of the workforce for almost a decade. So a lot has changed during that time period. Even a lot has changed over the past 2+ years now with the COVID-19 pandemic. So you really want to pay attention and make sure that you're up to speed when it comes to these different positions that you're going to be applying for. So interviewing skills are learned over a period of time, and there are no second chances when it comes to making a great first impression. So these tips that I'm going to be talking about today will instruct you on how to answer specific interviewing questions appropriately and how you can convince the hiring manager or recruiter that you're the best choice for the job. So ultimately, when it comes to interviewing, even if you're not the most, I guess you could say, expert level person in your field, you really want to make sure that you're demonstrating your inner confidence. So, for example, standing up straight, making eye contact, and connecting with a firm handshake if you happen to be in person. Those are some of the essential moves from the get-go. So, you want to make sure you have those down straight pat. The first impressions can be a fantastic new beginning or the ultimate quick end to your first interview. First impression is everything, right? The saying is still valid. So today's casual office dress codes do not give you permission to dress down when you interview. So keep that in mind as well. And it is important to know what to wear to an interview while looking and acting the part professionally. So, depending if it's a tech company in the Bay Area, it might be business casual. I've talked to some people who wear sneakers or Converse tennis shoes to an interview. I wouldn't recommend that. But whether you wear a suit or something less formal depends on the company culture and the position you're seeking. So, if possible, if you're not sure, if you want to dot your I's and cross all of your T's, you can email the hiring manager or your contact at the company to find out what the requirements are in terms of the company dress code. At the beginning of the interview, your interviewer will more likely provide you with essential information, either directly or indirectly. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to get hired. So you want to make sure you're on your best behavior, that you're alert and paying attention to all the information that's going to be provided to you during that time period. So, excellent communication skills, including active listening and letting the person know that you heard what was said. So, whether that's nodding your head or showing some sort of confirmation that you're engaged to a certain extent without interrupting them. That's something that I've perfected as well. I like to send body language ultimately to let my clients know, for instance, when I'm working with them on interviewing coaching. If that's something that you're interested in, feel free to get in contact with me. My email is aishaspearman@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you more about potential interviewing tactics, questions, you name it. So you want to observe the interviewer in order to successfully match the given style and pace to secure your chances of continuing the hiring process. So providing the interviewer with more detail than they need could set you up for potential failure in terms of making a connection. So I think it's about finding that fine line, if you will, between not one word sentences, but being able to elaborate within a specified amount of time, a couple sentences for each question. And then if they need more information, they'll let you know, but you also don't want to be too long-winded. So those are some things to think about when you're practicing your interviewing skills. When you obviously have not prepared ahead of time, you may ramble on, and when answering imperative questions, sometimes talking yourself right out of the job. So, for instance, not only do I do interview coaching, I've also worked for companies and interviewed potential candidates, people that would be working as a part of my team. So I've seen, all different kinds of situations, and this is definitely one of them. Prepare as much as possible for the interview by reading through the job posting and matching your skills with the position's requirements and relating only that particular information. You might even want to ask a colleague or friend to run through a mock interview because, as we all know, practice makes perfect. And if you don't have those options available to you, you could also hire a career coach such as myself. It's a great way to prepare. We can work on interviewing coaching. We can get your resume up to speed, whatever you like. So feel free to look in the description of this video to find out my contact information, and looking forward to hearing from you soon. The physical interview itself is a previously arranged professional meeting in order to talk about a potential business opportunity. So the more casual in terms of your demeanor during the interview process, the more confident you will come off as to the employer. Your level of expertise should mirror the interviewer's body language. And it's also important to be energetic and enthusiastic while asking thought-provoking questions. On the flip side, make sure to not overstep your place as a worthy candidate looking for a career change. So that's where the rambling situation might happen. If you don't have a preset list of how are my applicable skills going to be important for this new position. So say, for instance, you went back to school because you're in a different field and now you want to be a software engineer. So you've gotten some certifications in different coding languages like Python, Java, and Agile. So instead of focusing on the whole entire backstory, you want to focus more on what your experience was like learning more about coding languages and what specific skills would be good for a software engineer, right? It's a major given that you should stick with the use of professional language during the interview process itself. Be aware of any inappropriate slang or references to the following: age, race, religion, politics, or sexual orientation, as these particular topics could send you out the door very quickly. And keep in mind, you don't know who you're talking to, or maybe you do, but you want to assume that you want to make sure not to, I guess you could say, include political, leanings or opinions, anything like that could raise red flags before you get through the entire interviewing process. So next up, your attitude plays an important role when it comes to your interview success. There's a difference between being confident and going overboard. So even if you're putting on a temporary performance in order to demonstrate your unique abilities, your overconfidence is a bad sign right off the bat. When interviewers ask for an example of a time when you took the initiative in a precarious work situation, they are asking behavioral interviewing questions that are designed to elicit a sample of your past behavior. They want to know, how did you, as a previous employee at another company or your current role at another company, how are you able to deal with a customer that was unhappy? How are you able to fast track a project so that it got finished before some of the other projects that you were working on? Things of that nature. If you fail to discuss a relatable example, you could potentially miss out on an opportunity to prove your ability and talk about your transferable skills. Ultimately, that's what recruiters and hiring managers want to know about, right? Surprisingly, when candidates are asked if they have any questions at the end of the interview, most of them answer no. I'm still pretty surprised by that. Of course, as we know from being potential candidates ourselves, this is the incorrect course of action to take. So demonstrating that you're showing a unique interest in what goes on with their specific company. So again, that requires a bit of research on your end, whether it's through the potential contact, whether it's going on Glassdoor and seeing what kind of questions are being asked during the interview process, or from the company website. So definitely make sure that you spend some time doing some research. Asking these questions gives you as a candidate the opportunity to find out if this is the right place for you. So don't think of it as they're trying to figure out if they want to hire you. That's just half of the ball game. The other half is you figuring out if they're going to be a good fit for you. The best questions come from active listening practices and are derived from what you've already been asked during the interview. When you interview, coming across as the best candidate to ever walk into the company's office type of approach. If you're a salesperson, that might work. But for other positions, maybe not so much. You tend to appear desperate and less confident overall. So that's something to keep in mind as well. You want to reflect on these three things during the interviewing process: adaptability, your unique background of qualifications, and also your hands-on knowledge. Those are going to be very helpful when it comes to getting across your competencies and knowledge base during the interview. And last but not least, if you happen to be doing a video interview, you might think this is funny, but on the left-hand side, that's normally how I look when I'm working. I do not care about putting makeup on. Maybe I should, but when I'm getting work done, when I'm in full-blown work mode at 9 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you name it, to the left is normally how I look. But on the right is definitely more in the tune of how you would want to look, especially for a video interview, if you have something coming up, especially, from the waist up. If for some reason you need to be standing, make sure you're dressed appropriately for that particular company based on what we just talked about. And that's all I had for you guys today. Well, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It was my pleasure to share some of this information with you about interview coaching. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave some feedback below this video. You can also contact me at workinggirlsresumeservice.com. I hope to be speaking with you soon. Take care.